Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Working virtually. Protect tax data at home and at work with the, quote, Security 6, end quote, Part 6 of the Security Summit Tips for Tax Professionals. IR 2020-167, July 21st, 2020, Washington. With the cyberthieves acting during COVID-19, the Internal Revenue Service and the Security Summit, there's a link to the Security Summit here, partners today urged tax professionals to review critical security steps to ensure they are fully protecting client data, whether working in the office or remote location. Many tax professionals have expanded telework options this year as firms, like other businesses, work to keep personnel safe, protecting recommended safety guidelines, and use technology to virtually serve their clients. During this period, the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA, have urged organizations to maintain a heightened state of alert as cybercriminals seek to exploit COVID-19 concerns. To assist tax professionals with the security basics, the IRS, state tax agencies, and national tax industry are launching a 5-part series called Working Virtually, Protecting Tax Data at Home and at Work. This special series is designed to help practitioners assess their home and office data security. The first recommendation today covers the, quote, Security 6, end quote, basic steps that would be taken for every work location. The series will continue each Tuesday through August 18th. Quote, the Security Summit partners urge tax professionals to take time this summer to give their data safeguards a thorough review and ensure that these protections are in place whether they work from home or the office, end quote, said IRS Commissioner Chuck Reddick. Although the Security Summit, a partnership between the IRS, states, and private sector tax community, is making major progress against tax-related identity theft, cybercriminals continue to evolve. They are aware that tax practitioners and their systems may be more vulnerable this year during COVID-19, especially if they are working remotely. So obviously, if you have more remote workers and you're doing more remote work, then that's a less centralized area, more hubs and whatnot that cybercriminals might be able to take advantage of. So you want to be making sure that you're safeguarding any kind of new type of things. Also, any kind of new type of system that people put in place, of course, will have its own limitations that need to be dealt with, and maybe take some time to implement the proper safeguards of any kind of new system, of course. So back to the text. The following are the basic, quote, Security 6 protections that everyone, especially tax professionals handling sensitive data, should use. 1. Antivirus software. Although the details may vary between commercial products, antivirus software scans computer files or memory for certain patterns that may indicate the presence of malicious software, also called malware. Anti-software, sometimes more broadly referred to as anti-malware software, looks for patterns based on the signature or definitions of known malware from cybercriminals. Antivirus vendors find new issues and malware daily, so it is important that people have the latest update installed on their computers. So you want to have the malware on there, and then you want to update it continually, because it's a constant. It's kind of like a virus in a body or something like that, where they evolve, and then you got to evolve the system to attack the new virus that has now evolved to be able to get around the last block that happened and whatnot. And on we go. Back to the text. Once users have installed an antivirus package, they should scan their entire computer regularly by doing automatic scans. Most antivirus software can be configured to automatically scan specific files or directories in real time and prompt users to set intervals to perform complete scans. Manual scans. If the antivirus software does not automatically scan new files, users should manually scan files and media received from outside source before opening them. This manual process includes saving and scanning email attachments or web downloads rather than opening them directly from the source, scanning portable media, including CDs, for malware being opening files. So obviously anything that you open up, if you get a download from an email, you'd want to scan it. And if you're taking any data from any external source, that's another way that someone can put malware on the computers, to have something like an external drive or something like that, a CD that would have the malware on it. So you want to check those and scan those as well. Back to the text. Sometimes the software will produce a dialog box with an alert that it has found malware and asks whether users want to, quote, clean, end quote, the file to remove the malware. In other cases, the software may attempt to remove the malware without asking first. When selecting an antivirus package, tax professionals should learn about its features so they know what to expect. Remember, keep security software set to automatically receive the latest updates so it is always current. So you have to have the latest update thing on. It's it can be annoying, of course, because it can be updated while you're doing stuff and take up time and whatnot. But it's usually in the background when it updates. And you have to do it because, like I say, the stuff is always evolving, and so the malware's got to always evolve with it. Back to the text. A reminder about spyware, a category of malware intended to steal sensitive data and passwords without the user's knowledge. Strong security software should protect against spyware, but remember, never click links within pop-up windows, never download, quote, free, end quote, software from a pop-up, and never follow email links that offer anti-spyware software. The links and pop-ups may be installing the spyware they claim to be eliminating. So you don't want any kind of pop-up that says, hey, you got malware, why don't you install this in order to get rid of the malware? Well, that's probably the malware that you're installing in the first place. So you want to make sure you get a credible kind of malware from the start. A reminder about phishing emails. A strong security package also should contain anti-phishing capabilities. Never open an email from a suspicious source. Click on a link in a suspicious email or open an attachment to avoid being the victim of a phishing attack and having clients and firm data compromised. Number 2, firewalls. Firewalls provide protection against outside attackers by shielding a computer or network from malicious or unnecessary web traffic and preventing malicious software from accessing systems. Firewalls can be configured to block data from certain suspicious locations or applications while allowing relevant and necessary data to pass through, according to CISA. Firewalls may be broadly categorized as hardware or software. While both have their advantages and disadvantages, the decision to use a firewall is far more important than deciding which type to use. Hardware, typically called network firewalls, these external devices are positioned between a computer and the internet or another network connection. Hardware-based firewalls are particularly useful for protecting multiple computers and control the network activity that attempts to pass through them. Software. Most operating systems include a built-in firewall feature that should be enabled for adding protection even if using an external firewall. So you have the built-in firewall. Typically, you want to have it typically turned on and make sure you have the settings on it for it. Firewall software can also be obtained as separate software from a local computer store or software vendor. If downloading firewall software from the internet, make sure it is from a reputable source, such as an established software vendor or service provider, and offered via a secure website. While properly configuring firewalls may be effective at blocking some cyber attacks, don't be lulled into a false sense of security. Firewalls do not guarantee that a computer will not be attacked. Firewalls primarily help protect against malicious traffic, not against malicious programs, malware, and may not protect the device if the user accidentally installs malware. So if you give permission to install the malware and whatnot, you could still install it. So don't just think you got the firewall and you're good to go and you can just, no problem. You still have to be wary about, these type of things, unfortunately. Back to the text. However, using a firewall is in conjunction with other protective measures, such as antivirus software and safe computing practices, will strengthen the resistance to attacks. So just remember, there's nothing that you could do that will just completely eliminate the attacks. All you can do is lower the risk. And then you want to set up, different types of things that could lower the risk, different types of layers that can catch different problems as you go through it to mitigate the risk as much as possible, but you can't really eliminate it. So you can't put in any kind of thing. There's no one system you're going to put in and just be like, all right, now I can, not have to worry about anything and everything's going to be good. You got to, they're all overlapping. And again, there's always a risk. So back to the tech. The Security Summit reminds tax pros that antivirus software and firewalls cannot protect data if employees fall for email phishing scams and divulge sensitive data such as usernames and passwords. So the phishing scams, people giving out information, you're always vulnerable to that, especially in a large organization where you have many employees. So if someone falls victim to a phishing scam, which is very likely because it could be some clever scams out there and provide information, then just the bigger the organization, the more likely that can be, and all you can do is basically suction off the organization so that you can have controls over how much information people have and make people mindful about the policies related to phishing and know what kind of emails are going to be internal emails and outside emails and have only business emails on certain accounts and all that kind of stuff. The summit reminds tax community that users, not the software, is the first line of defense in protecting taxpayer data. Number 3, two-factor authentication. Tax software providers, email providers, and others that require online accounts now offer customers two-factor authentication protections to access email accounts. Tax professionals should always use this option to prevent their accounts from being taken over by cybercriminals and putting their clients and colleagues at risk. Two-factor authentication helps by adding an extra layer of protection beyond a password. Often, two-factor authentication means the returning user must enter credentials, username and password, plus another step such as entering a security code sent via text to a mobile phone. The idea is a thief may be able to steal the username and password, but it's highly unlikely they would have a user's mobile phone to receive a security code and complete the process. So you got one more line, which means you got your phone on you all the time, and you got the phone text message, which is pretty quick. I mean, if you have the phone on you all the time, not too inconvenient. So back to the text. The use of two-factor authentication and even three-factor authentication is on the rise, and tax preparers should always opt for a multi-factor authentication protection when it is offered, whether an email account, tax software account, or any password-protected product. IRS Secure Access, there's a link to that here, which protects irs.gov tools, including e-services, is an example of two-factor authentication. Using the two-factor authentication options offered by tax software providers is critical to protect client data stored within those systems. Tax pros also can check their email account settings to see if the email provider offers two-factor protections. Number 4, backup software services. Critical files on computers should routinely be backed up to external sources. This means copy of the file is made and stored either online as part of a cloud storage service or similar product, or a copy of the file is made to an external disk, such as external hard drive with multiple terabits to storage capacity. The tax professionals should ensure that taxpayer data that is backed up also is encrypted for the safety of the taxpayer and the tax pro. So you want to be able to back up. You can back up online. There's various different backup options that you can back up online, or you might want to back up to an external hard drive. Just make sure it's external. You might want to then vary the external drives so that you have multiple different drives that you're backing up on, and possibly take the drive away from where the main computer is from time to time in case there's a fire or something in the whole place, and the external drive and the normal drive burn down or something like that. And then if you have stuff on an external drive, you want to have it encrypted, because if someone got their hands on the external drive, then if it wasn't encrypted, then they can have access to that data. So back to the text. Number 5, drive encryption. Given the sensitive client data maintained on tax practitioners' computers, users should consider drive encryption software for full disk encryption. Drive encryption or disk encryption transforms data on the computer into unreadable files for an unauthorized person accessing the computer to obtain data. Drive encryption may come as a standalone security software product. It may also include encryption for removable media such as a thumb drive and its data. And then number 6, virtual private network. This is critical to the practitioner who work remotely. If a tax firm employees most occasionally connect to unknown networks or work from home, establish an encrypted virtual private network, a VPN, to allow for a more secure connection. A VPN provides a secure encrypted tunnel to transfer data between a remote user via the internet and the company network. Search for best VPNs to find a legitimate vendor. Major technology sites often provide a list of top services. How to get started with the quote Security 6 end quote. All tax professionals also should review their professional insurance policy to ensure the business is protected should a data theft occur. Some insurance companies will provide cybersecurity experts for their clients. These experts can help with technology safeguards and offer more advanced recommendations. Having the proper insurance coverage is a common recommendation from tax professionals who have experienced data theft. Additional resources: tax professionals also can get help with security recommendations by reviewing the recently revised IRS Publication 5457, Safeguarding Taxpayer Data. There's a link to that here. Small Business Information Security, The Fundamentals. There's a link to that here by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Publication 5293, Data Security Resource Guide for Tax Professionals. Also a link to that here. Provides a compilation compilation data theft information available on irs.gov. Also, tax professionals should stay connected to the IRS through subscription at e-news for tax professionals. There's a link to that here, and social media, link to that here, or visit Identity Theft Center at irs.gov/identity theft. There's a link to that here as well. There'll be a link to this in the description.